The reviews are in, and it looks like Luigi's Mansion 3 is scary good, and that's got me all the more excited for Halloween, the perfect storm for Nintendo's latest masterpiece. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force, and I cannot wait to play more Luigi and Gooigi. I got hands-on with it back at E3 for like 5 to 10 minutes, and it was so much fun. And what stood out to me is pretty much exactly what is being talked about most in the reviews. Now, don't worry, there'll be no spoilers here. I read through a bunch of the reviews so I could kind of summarize and tell you about what is good and what is bad about the game, but I won't go into specifics on the levels or the bosses, so you don't have to worry if you want to go in completely clean and without any spoilers. Now, in full disclosure, we have not gotten Luigi's Mansion 3. We'll be buying the game for ourselves because Nintendo doesn't send early copies to hardly anyone anymore. They send them to press sites and a very, very small portion of YouTubers. Like, we're talking a couple, sometimes one, and sadly we're not on that list. So we don't have the game. We'll be buying it ourselves and bringing you coverage as soon as we can. But it has an 86 on Metacritic, which is pretty good. It's actually kind of low for Nintendo first party. Breath of the Wild has a 97, Mario Odyssey has a 97, which if you think about those two games, both released the first year of Switch, that's gotta be the most dynamic duo ever released in year one of a console. But anyways, Smash Bros is at 93, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe 92, Fire Emblem 3 Houses 89, Mario Maker 2 88, Link's Awakening 87, and then in comes Luigi at 86. Obviously, it's still a very good score, but it's funny that an 86 would be considered low for Nintendo. But honestly, the reviews don't read low at all. Everybody is gushing about this game. Maybe it's not as massive in scope as something like Breath of the Wild, Odyssey, or Smash Bros. Ultimate, and perhaps that's why they've docked a few points. It sounds like the multiplayer isn't as grand as maybe we hope, but the single player seems stellar, and they call out a lot of different aspects of the game, one being the charm, the animations, and the graphics. I know that Luigi's Mansion can look very pretty given the play between light and dark, but I don't think I expected this to be labeled as the prettiest Switch game yet by Ars Technica, and plenty of other reviews echoed those sentiments, saying that it is a visual treat, that it looks amazing, that the visual variety on display is incredible. It runs at 30 frames per second, but that's fine given that the gameplay moves a lot slower than something like Mario Odyssey, and they say the variety between the 17 floors is also awesome. I don't want to spoil any of the specific floors that I read about, but there is some crazy stuff waiting for you in this game. And I liked some of the analogies comparing Luigi's Mansion 3 more to a theme park than a mansion because of how different the levels are. I really like this quote from Forbes where they said that each floor feels like a different world, almost like a Mario Odyssey world, rather than just another floor in a mansion, and that's insanely exciting. I think one of the reasons they're able to achieve so much variety here and such incredible visuals is probably because of the fixed camera, and that begins our path down the saddest part of this game, which is the controls. That was the recurring theme on the negative end of Luigi's Mansion 3, and perhaps that also played into the 86 instead of a 90 plus that the rest of the reviews seems to earn across the board. It's the controls that hold it back. The fixed camera and the old school, almost Resident Evil style controls with the vacuum are apparently not so great. I didn't feel like they felt fantastic at E3. I was worried, thought maybe they would spend some more time and kind of polish it up, but it sounds like it's rough. I saw some people say they were bad, some people say they were cumbersome, some people say that they just got in the way, but nobody said they were great. And unfortunately, you can't remap any of it, and apparently the way they have the buttons laid out isn't the best. But that's okay because luckily Gooigi is the star of the show. He's awesome. Everyone loves the way he contributes to the puzzle solving and contributes to co-op. I forgot that this game has 2-player co-op. It takes a few hours to unlock Gooigi, so your partner will be sitting there for a while, but once they get in on the action, you can play 2 players. One is Luigi, one is Gooigi. Obviously, you can do everything solo, and that's how I'll be playing, but it's interesting to note that this game does incorporate co-op, as Nintendo so often loves to do. It sounds like the puzzles are pretty satisfying, nothing too difficult. I saw a few say that they were kind of easy, but some also said that they posed a nice challenge, and it's not obvious what to do right off the bat, and you gotta mess around with your arsenal, your moveset, which has been increased from the last 2 Luigi's Mansion games, and try to suss out what you need to do. And the rooms are littered with things to interact with, tons of little physicsy interactions you can have, lots of currency to collect, tons of collectibles, but unfortunately, there's not much reward for collecting all of that stuff. You can buy extra lives and hints with the currency, 2 things it sounds like you won't need to buy very often, and then you gotta just kind of get the joy of collecting and interacting and knocking things over just by doing it, and that will be what's satisfying rather than some awesome reward. To me, that's a good thing and a bad thing because I like being rewarded for what I collect, especially since all the nooks and crannies of this mansion are so intricately laid out and look so fun to interact with. But it's a good thing because then you don't feel tied to needing to suck every little object, needing to vacuum every little corner. They say you can focus instead more on the visuals and just enjoying the levels and marveling at the floors they've crafted rather than feeling obsessive about every little coin. Now on the multiplayer side, I've been pretty darn excited for Scare-Scraper and Scream Park. It seemed like they were delivering a pretty beefy multiplayer component for this game, but it sounds like Scare-Scraper is the only one that has depth. Apparently that is still a super fun mode as you race through a variety of floors, 5 or 10 of them. Scream Park, which is that local multiplayer party mode, seems like it's incredibly half-baked. There's only 3 mini games, and I saw some reviews say that they're worth playing once, and it kind of just feels like they threw 3 Mario Party minigames into Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, I can't complain about a few more Mario Party minigames. I really wish they would add DLC for that one, but it is a bit of a bummer that the multiplayer suite isn't as fleshed out as maybe we expected. I will note that a lot of reviews barely focused on that component, so maybe there's more to uncover as you play for longer, but it sounds like Scare-Scraper is where you'll want to spend your time, and Scream Park isn't so grand. All in all, the 15-ish hour campaign sounds astounding, and I cannot wait to get my hands on Luigi's Mansion 3. I think it's so impressive that Nintendo is able to bring so much polish and so much creativity, no matter the game franchise, especially this generation. They're just hitting home run after home run. And this one is a rarer breed because it is a linear, focused, single-player game with a story. And even amongst their other single-player franchises, Nintendo has typically gone bigger and bolder. They have gone bigger and bolder in terms of the floors and the variety, but they've kept things contained, and I really respect that. We don't get very many true single-player games like this anymore, and it's good to see Nintendo putting their mark on the genre before we roll over into another year. I'm super pumped for Luigi's Mansion 3. The 86 has me excited, and all of the markings of a masterpiece Nintendo game are on this one, so we'll have to check it out for ourselves soon. Let me know your take in the comments down below. Are you more excited to spend your Halloween with Luigi and Luigi? Will you be trying out co-op or just doing things solo? Super curious about that. And what do you think about multiplayer? Were you expecting it to be more or not so much? I'm kind of bummed about Scream Park, but I'm excited for Scare-Scraper, and I'm just very, very glad that this game exists. And we've got this and then Pokemon 2 weeks later, and it's going to be a fantastic finish to 2019. I hope to see you all on those videos. Until that time, though, thanks again for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the review recap, and until next time, Switch Force out.